All right, we have a special video going on here. We are part of a group called Itinerant Pro-Testers, which I don't even know the real card because I'm that big of a noob, but it's supposedly a card in the Netrunner card pool where pro and testers is one word for protesters, and they've modified that to be a sort of a pun to Itinerant Pro Space Testers. And we are a group that was created by Dan B. If you go and check out the latest episode of Table Netrunner, he'll share his motivations for why he created a group. But basically, he played Worlds 2020 with no human interaction on the internet and was very discouraged about his play because there was no human interaction there to really allow him to just enjoy the atmosphere, even though he was losing. And he decided that he wanted to get better at Netrunner on a competitive level, and decided to create a group and just see how it developed. And some of the people that have the same aspirations got on this channel, and we came up with an idea to basically record, have a different voice channels set up with screen sharing. So we've got a group of people watching the runner side, a group of people watching the corp side, and they're discussing the line of plays so that we can continue to grow together and learn stuff through our plays. And so that's why we're here tonight. And on my side, on the corp side, we have Taekwondian. I'm sorry, I'm from the South. You had to tell them how to pronounce your name there.
That's right. It's Taekwon Dean, but you can just call me Dean.
Taekwon Dean, aka Dean, is with me on my side versus Ed, and I'm gonna mess this one up too, Wellesley. And so they're on the runner side, we're on the corp side, and we are playing competitive level decks. And so here we go. We got the second place Worlds deck, Controlling the Message by TF34. And we are just going to do an initial conversation about what this deck is kind of doing, and then we're going to fire up the game in just probably a few minutes. So I'll turn it over to you, Dean, because I have only watched some videos on it and kind of forgotten a good portion of it. So anything you can tell me before we get started would be quite beneficial.
So I've got maybe 3 or 4 games with this deck under my belt. And the things that I would say about it basically are this. It plays pretty similar to a normal asset spam deck in that our goal is going to be to just get a bunch of our assets on the table and to just sort of spam enough stuff out that the runner is going to have a very hard time controlling all of that because of the relatively high trash cost. We're going to want to just not be afraid to have unprotected remotes and to just get as much junk out there as we can. Now, you've got your mouse there over Malia Zaloka, which is the kind of magic card that people got very excited about with this deck. And what it allows us to do is to blank a non-virtual resource on the runner's side. And you can think of a lot of resources that could be really powerfully blanked by that. So we'll have to talk about when to use it. I'm not sure that I'm going to be like the best expert on what our best targets are, but it can be very, very powerful. And even just the threat of it having kind of sort of lurking around, I think will help structure what the runner is going to try and do. And so having some unresed assets sitting around as threatening that we might res that card keeps the runner from getting too ambitious, I think.
We've got Raul Duke Lives. Is that correct there? And I know you said we can call you James. But is that how you say Raul?
Yeah, that's right.
All right, cool. You had to forgive me.
I just dropped in to say, hey, I don't know if I can actually stick around for this. It's a little early for me, but
I got you.
Just pop in and say, hey.
Yeah, you're welcome to leave it on mute and come and go as you please and jump in when you see something. So no big deal either way. So pleasure to have you. if you're able to stick around and provide some commentary to us. So, all right.
Awesome.
Yep.
Good.
All right. Back to you, Dean.
I think that's what I've got as my best advice to begin with. It might be helpful, and I'm gonna try and pull it up quickly before and maybe vamp for a second while I do. To try and read through the description that TF34 wrote for this deck. I think that's quite helpful.
Yep.
Sorry, 1 second. Here we go.
Okay. You're
So
pulling it up.
here's what TF34 says in general. So he says that he has there's a couple of like basic ideas that were backing up the development of this deck. The first one is to try to get the agenda density to be a little bit lower than it normally is. Usually with CTM, you play lots and lots of low cost agendas that you can fast advance out, and like low agenda point agendas that you can fast advance. But this deck doesn't do that. It's got a more sort of classic NBN agenda suite, and we want to try and make sure that we don't give up too many of the high point agendas if we can. But fortunately, they're relatively defensive. So things like Bologna are kind of have their own built-in defense. So spamming them out isn't the worst thing in the world. The other thing that he was trying to build around is stuff like Freedom and Freedom's ability to trash things without you getting the CTM trace, and also stuff like Nisbones, which the other deck that we're going to be playing against, I believe, uses to try and get the trash cost down and keep their economy up. So a couple of the big changes he made is getting rid of things like team sponsorship and Amane Sinai, which are the sort of fast advance tech, and also getting rid of like Tour Guide because it's super weak to Freedom and his trash ability. So, and the like we've already talked about Malia Zaloka a little bit. And here's what he says about how it plays. He says, this deck plays a lot like the former Jeeves CTM or Near Earth Hub decks. Your goal is to tempo your way to 7 points. If the runner challenges your board, use hard-hitting news and psychographics to get your way to victory. Being good at scoring out through only 2 agendas, usually a 5-3 and a 4-point Beal, is a big deal against Leela. Fortunately, we're going against Val, so that's going to be a little different for us. He says he had a high win rate with his deck on JNet heading into World, so he felt confident it would perform well. And then, yeah, that's pretty much his write-up. So hopefully that's useful information for you.
Yeah, luckily I have you to decipher that for me. No, I've heard a little bit of it. I've also been goofing off over here trying to let folks know where we're at and everything in the general. So I'm gonna have to go back and listen to some of this after the fact. But again, we're as a group working through as we play. So we'll work it out together for sure. Let's see here. See if we're about ready to start. Yeah, it's our first time, so we're having to kind of direct people in the right direction and work some things out. But hey, sometimes you just gotta start, and then let it go from there.
And in any case, we can't let the perfect be the enemy of the good here.
That is correct. I'm hoping it becomes a fruitful thing. I mean, just whenever I was thinking about this concept as a whole, I was like, what can we do different to actually meet that goal that doesn't just look like us turning into another group that talks about Netrunner and find somebody to play games with? Because you can do that on any number of, Slack and Discord and all that. So I think this is at least a possibility. I'm not saying it's going to work, but I think this is a possible way to actually grow in the game together, So that's kind of my thoughts.
Very much so. And I also think the idea of recording both sides of the game and then talking through both of them is going to be very, very helpful.
Yep.
Even for the people, especially for the people who played, but even for those of us that are just spectating, because it'll allow you to see like the kind of back and forth, and maybe people can talk through a little bit what they're thinking as they do stuff, and so that way it'll help us sort of analyze how the game went, what they were worried about at a given moment, what they were trying to do, what they were thinking. And then you'll also see how real those threats were or weren't, because you're able to see the other side.
Yep, most definitely. And so, yeah, and actually, I don't know if you know this, but I actually have a YouTube channel called Noob Runner, and I pretty much play the games, recording my side just like I'm doing right now, and talk through it, and then I put it out there, and the people who are playing against me can go back and see the game, seeing my hand, you know, and seeing what I was thinking. And so that's kind of why I initially said it. Put that idea kind of out there, is because like you take that and then you add in a whole bunch of people talking about it, and it really can become something that is even better than what I'm doing, you know, by myself, right? To help
Yeah,
grow.
absolutely. There was a couple of videos that somebody produced out of the New York meta several years ago that were very similar, where they recorded some games that were played at their, you know, weekly meetup, and then they would watch the game back together and talk through the sort of the game tape, as it were. And I thought that was a really cool idea, and so it's cool to see you resurrecting that.
Yep. All right, we're gonna head on over. Everybody see my screen all right here?
Yep.
All right, I'm actually going to create it in competitive just so it's easier for us to find the game. We're going to call it, I don't know how to spell Itinerant. There we go.
That should be our bot screening thing for the Discord channel. It's just try and spell itinerant.
Yeah. Yeah. I definitely put out a long post introducing myself that I have to still go back and rewrite now after, you know, for that situation there. But let's see here. Yeah, another thing that we're planning on potentially doing is having a third chat for people to join, and then making the players hidden information visible, so you can have a group that have no interaction with the two playing it, and a third group as a voice chat, and then watching the game with total open information on both sides to basically allow them to discuss the game from that standpoint as well. So
that sounds super great, and I think that it would be cool if I mean, one idea that occurred to me is to just have that stream be the stream that's recorded, and then to have the runner player and the Corp player come back together, watch the recording, and talk through what they were thinking together, watching the game back with total open information.
Very interesting. Yeah, no, it's pretty solid idea there. Oh, I got to create the game like I said I would.
Hey, are you playing this with knowledge of the runner list, or are you playing this kind of blind?
We could potentially be playing. They were talking about playing like a reg val, which if you know what that is, then you would know. And in fact, I think they were even discussing the deck list today on the stream, but I was too busy and didn't have time to delve into it. So the answer is yes, we could have, but I don't. So if you want to hop over there and kind of take a look at that, it would be, you know.
Well, so one way of understanding Roll's question is, are we allowed to look at the deck list or no?
Yeah. I mean, we're assuming that we're kind of taking it to a place. Let me make sure this is Ed. We're kind of taking it to the place where it's all about just lines of play and learning how to be the best we can at understanding what the other side's trying to do, as well as what our deck's trying to do. And so the best way to cut through all the guessing is to have that and to, I guess, just work on the fundamentals there of actually playing the decks better. And that could change. If we find it needs to be another way, that's all good and well. It's all quite fluid and flexible at this point, right? So I've done a whole bunch of talking, but the talking's about to get a lot lower now because it actually comes down to playing this deck and
so maybe one thing to talk through, I'm just trying to think about like how to make this video as useful as possible to people, is maybe say a little bit about like what you're thinking about this opening hand and whether or not to keep or mulligan it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're all able to do that, right? So you don't have to wait on me to say anything. We're all able to just share our thoughts that we find valuable. So what do you think about the opening hand?
Well, so here's some things that I see that I like. Having Rashida in this deck in the opening is really, really strong. Rashida is just a great way to accelerate our play. Pad campaign is nice, a little bit of drip economy, but it's a relatively low res cost with high trash cost that might eat up some attention. Same kind of thing. Mamba Temple is good, and Mamba Temple is very threatening for later asset stuff, so it's something that they frequently feel pressure to trash. And we've got a piece of ice that we can use to try and cut off like cheap accesses in R&D or HQ, whichever you feel better about.
Yeah.
So I think this opening hand is decent. It's possible that we could do better, but I think we could do a lot worse.
You've got one of your 9 ice too.
Yeah.
So.
That's what I was about to say. Like ice, just getting 1 ice is actually pretty amazing in this deck versus others, right? So, definitely, I say we keep it. I mean, if everybody's in agreement here, we'll stick with it.
Why don't we go ahead and keep that?
Yep. And so the Corp is the first time the runner trashes an installed Corp card each turn, you may trace 4. If successful, give the runner 1 tag. And Valse makes us start with 1 bad publicity. All right, so we will start turn and see what we got here. Definitely don't let me forget the res stuff because I'm a super duper offender of that.
So a classic open for CTM is to just spam out 3 assets.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, we might think about doing that here. We've got Rashida, we've got Pad Campaign, and we've got a Mamba Temple. The only thing that we might do is Rashida and the campaign, and then icing R&D or HQ, whichever you feel more strongly about. But I might just go to spam out assets.
What do you think, James?
My first thought would be to go 3 assets. Definitely the Rashida, the Moomba, and the Ag campaign. I think that's a little bit stronger of a play than icing R&D. But what's your agenda density? You're running 9 agendas.
Let's see here, we're running 8.
You could maybe 8. Yeah, I think you play the odds. Like maybe you get unlucky and they top deck 1 off R&D. But I think it's fair enough to play the odds and just go spam out.
Sounds good. Is there any order? I already threw one out there, but is there any order you think doing it?
No, in fact, again, a classic CTM power play in person is to just shuffle your hand and then spam 3 cards out of it without even looking at them. Wow. So I don't think the order is going to matter here at all.
Yeah, I'm always pondering how much the order matters. If I'm trying to throw a trap, like when I'm trying to throw out 2 servers, it's like, and I got a trap and an agenda, I'm always like, should I play the trap first or the agenda first? Trying to like think about which one they would think I might be doing. I don't know if what do y'all think about that? Do you think there's any value in thinking like that?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely have had that thought to myself plenty of times when I'm like installing 3 and one of them is the card I don't want them to access. And I don't know, you play a little mind game with yourself, but
yeah,
at the end of the day, like I feel like you just have to give them a lot of bad options. And so right now they can spend 4 of their clicks seeing what is here, or they can spend their clicks doing what they need to do. And so you kind of put them in a tough spot.
Right. And if they get to a place where they're actually going to trash something, they're looking at getting a trace of 4 as well. So
Yeah, and it depends on how well they know the CTM matchup. Like they should really never drop below 4 credits at a minimum.
yeah, because of the Bologna too, right? With the you don't want
I was just thinking hard hitting news,
right.
With the Bologna too, you need, is it an additional 5 to steal?
Yeah,
Or is it
it's an
4?
additional 5 for
Yeah,
that.
5 credits to steal.
And really, you need 8 credits because you need to spend 2 for each tag. So that's the other thing for the hard hitting news that you're talking about.
Yeah, I mean they don't want to drop below 4 because they figure that you're not likely to boost into the trace, because it's basically a 4 credit tax on them for 0 on you.
I see.
But,
I see. Yeah, that makes sense. All right. You're talking about for CTM, never drop before.
That's right.
4.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. They left it alone.
So remember to Rashida.
Do we want to go ahead and do Mumbad Temple to Pad Campaign as well?
Might as well.
Well, do I get the 2 credits immediately, even though it's before my turn?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, I thought so. Okay, bam. So then
res the Moomba, then res that, and then pay for it with that. Yes.
Yep, absolutely. And then res that. Start turn.
Really asked for a better opening than that.
Nope.
Yeah, that's pretty perfect.
I almost say we drop all 3 of these out here again. Oh, let me mandatory draw real quick. There we go. Some ice too.
So here,
I mean, I would definitely.
Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say I would definitely consider spamming out more assets again, and just again, we want to just kind of overwhelm them with too much stuff to check, too much stuff to try and trash.
Are we thinking another Mumba Temple and these 2 here?
Well, you got the agenda in hand, and so you could maybe keep 5 cards in hand when you end your turn to keep them from sniping it out of HQ.
So you're thinking maybe just 2 assets and draw a card then? What's that one? Or just
icing
2?
R&D.
Yeah.
Or do you try to get sneaky, and do you try to install the Bologna behind the Enigma and then something else? I don't know. I never quite know exactly what to do in a situation like this.
Yep.
Like they don't have a board state, and they only have 3 cards in their hand, so I don't really know what threats they present right now.
Yeah, for sure.
So remember to check, if you're thinking about installing an ice, remember to check the bin to make sure that if they've got bin breakers, you know which ones they've got.
They got the Sentry here, and we are running, there's a Sentry. That will cost them 2 to install. It'll cost them 2 to install, and then it'll cost them, what's that, 4 to plus 2 strength. That cost them 6 money to bump it up, and then so that's a total of 8 money they'd have to spend. So we could just about throw this F2P out there, but we can't advance this twice in the same turn, unfortunately.
That's true, but they won't be able to easily break F2P and steal Bologna without having some more econ stuff going on.
Right.
So something to think about.
I almost say we could throw out the ice this turn out here in a new remote, and then install these 2 assets, right, and just leave that ice out there with nothing behind it. Then next turn come in and drop Bologna and advance twice.
Or you could also put Rashida behind the ice. See if you bait a run, get them to waste some money and some time.
Good point.
And we're gonna, Rashida will vanish at the start of next turn anyway. So
I like it. You interested in doing that?
That's a good play, because it'll also deplete your hand of 3 cards, and you'll get 3 cards plus a drawback the next turn.
Yep. So we're going to go there. We're going to go here. And then we're going to go there, right?
Yep.
Now, what is this market forces here? Play only if they're tagged. The runner loses 3 for each tag. Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, so that's just further tag punishment and also a way to keep their econ down and really bury them in a hole. If we can land an HHN, then market forces is really good.
So that not only makes them lose 3 for every tag, but I would gain basically 3 for every. I mean, I would gain $1 for every one they lose. So if they had 2 tags, they lost 6 money. I'd gain 6 money.
Correct.
Wow, that's really good.
Yeah, you really, really, really do not want to get tagged in this matchup. I mean, unless you have a tag me deck.
All right, so turning wheel, I'm pretty familiar with that one there. And 0, this one lets you suffer 1 net damage and use a click to gain $1 and 2 cards. So, yep, pretty solid. If you got a card you don't care about in there, that's one of the things about me is I always struggle to be like, I got to be willing to let these cards go, knowing I can probably get another one later or whatever, and I always struggle to. I'm like, I don't want to lose this certain card.
If you're the runner right now, do you start trying to get points, or do you start trying to trash the board?
I think it's pretty dangerous to let CTM start developing its board, because it can get out of hand really, really fast. So, I mean, turning wheel and trying to start building up counters, especially while we've got centrals open, isn't like terrible, but I wouldn't, for example, invest solely in that and not in trying to control the board a little bit. A turning wheel is nice for them because it's not weak to Maria Zaloka, right? Because it's a virtual resource, so we can't blank it. So it's something that they could feel a little bit safer with, even though we have unrest assets. And I'm just sort of assuming that they've looked at our deck list and know about that particular trick.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they're familiar with the second place CTM here. They know I was running it, so no surprises there, I don't think. Well, they'll get that Bologna. They got the market forces, thank goodness. That's always the part of a Netrunner that's just the emotions are wild, right? Whenever that run on headquarters and you got that 1 in 4 chance, and you're like, please don't grab the 1 card I can't have you grab, you know? It's pretty awesome feelings. See what happens here. Enigma. That could have changed the game if they would have snagged that Bologna, you know? That easy.
So don't forget to res Rashida and to res your Maryland campaign.
Yep. And I'm loving how free that is right now, right?
Yeah, and it makes the econ on both the Maryland and the pad campaign just a ton better when you didn't have to like pay to res them.
Absolutely. Let's see here. Yes. And then mandatory draw.
So one thing that stands out to me right now is that we're drawing a lot of our ice, right? We've already got 4 of our ice, and we've only seen 2 of our agendas.
Yep.
So that makes me think that R&D, like the density in R&D, is starting to go up.
So just a thought here: if you're feeling like that, we could put an ice over R&D and then go install advance for this one instead of going for the advance with that one, right? Is that where you're leaning towards? You there?
Sorry, I had my microphone on mute. There was a fire truck going by and it was super loud.
Nice.
So that's definitely a possibility. Because we've got a ton of ice right now, we don't have a bunch of assets that we might want to throw out there. They're not threatening more than just the sentry breaker in the bin. We don't know what's in their hand.
Yep. I mean, I'm leaning towards one of these enigmas out there, and then pop this in there in advance. But I'm definitely open to suggestions.
All right, let's give it a go. See how it works.
All right.
If you can pull it off, you'll be in a good spot with that counter on it.
Yeah, absolutely.
What do we want to trash here?
My inclination. Oh, go ahead, Ro.
These are always situations in Netrunner I never quite know what to do. I would probably here choose the operation there that what is that, market forces. But that's I don't know. I'd be curious to hear what y'all think.
I was leaning towards the Mamba, even though that's what this deck is putting out assets, and I'm talking about trashing them. So it's kind of like I'm debating if that's the right decision there for me.
Yeah, I'm genuinely unsure. I think that either of those is good. I was thinking about, just to muddy the waters further, about the Maryland campaign being maybe the least good thing here. But maybe the Mamba Temple's better. Its trash cost is the same, and we've already got one going, and they haven't seemed too anxious about it.
Yeah, let's see how many we got in our deck real quick. We've got Mamba Temple. We got 3 of them.
Yeah.
So I say I think we got a chance to get another one if we need it, maybe.
True.
All right.
The market forces doesn't give you any value now because they're not tagged. The rest of them you could, in theory, get value out of.
That's true. I don't have a problem with that. Let's see how many market forces we have here. We have 2 of them.
So maybe Mumbo Temple's the right call because there's, you have 1 extra to throw away.
All right, we'll do it.
It's an interesting thought, though. I mean, the likelihood that they decide to float a tag, given that they've spent a turn building up the turning wheel already, it seems pretty low.
Yeah, and this one right here really doesn't get you that much value until you start to get more. I mean, it does, but it's better when you got more than 1 tag, right? When you can hit that hard-hitting news and have 3 or 4 of them, it'd be brutal.
True, although trading a click for 3 credits or a 6 credit swing, but 3 credits for yourself is pretty good, right?
Yeah, it's strong, for sure. Yeah. The only negative about this one is that what did we end up putting here, is that the whole solution of having them not have enough money after they did all their installs and breaking of it is null and void here at this point with this one, because there's not a 5 money cost to steal after it's all said and done. So we're pretty much banking on them not running here.
Yeah, although it seems like they're inclined to set up. So.
Yeah, that's what it's looking like. Now, what does this one do again? When you place one advancement token on an installed card. That's pretty nice. I mean, that puts me in a position.
That'll help us score our Bologna or get a big Beal later.
Yep. Like we could literally go install Bologna, advance, post that counter on it, and then install another asset out, even potentially. Or the safer play might be to
do, but it might be better to in that case. Oh, okay, good. So, can you have a look at the just quickly at the daily cast? Yeah. So daily cast is not a virtual resource. So we could use Maria Zaloka to blanket, which means that they spent 3 to install and then they won't get any value from it.
Now, do we want to leave this out here another turn? Are you wanting to go bam, maybe bam, and do that? At this point, they don't even have enough money to install and break everything on this F2P, which is a plus.
Yeah, so I'm feeling pretty good about that. Although they did get a paperclip in the bin, so they've got their second breaker.
They also don't have to break the F2P to steal it.
That's true. Yeah, good point. So, do we want to go ahead and get this one scored, or do we want to play around with them and hit them with maybe a couple more assets?
Well, if you score it, you got to discard something. If you don't score it, you could thin your hand down, or you could mandatory draw the next turn and still score out.
What do y'all think about install, res, and then advance this one more time so we've got more clicks to play with next turn? Just a thought. We are wasting a click if he comes in, and credit if he comes in and steals it, though, right? So, y'all tell me. Did we lose?
I'm probably most inclined to finish advancing, get the score.
All right.
Threaten the close of the game a little bit more, and then decide what to pitch. But
Dean?
Yeah, I think that's a pretty strong line. I think I would feel better about doing more assets and sort of messing around if we had an end the run ice on it.
Yeah.
But since we don't, I think scoring out might be the right play here.
Very cool. We'll go for it. And I say we go ahead and drop the market forces unless y'all think otherwise here.
Yeah, if you had a hard-hitting news in hand, I would maybe not drop it. But without that, it can't really do you any good.
Or, I mean, how much are we looking at these ice really playing a part here, this code gate? It is an in run, I suppose. Y'all thinking market forces?
Well, so at the moment that Enigma is pretty helpful, right? Because they don't have a code gate breaker.
Yep.
And that's an end the run code gate. So at the moment, it's pretty helpful. I'm leaning towards getting rid of the market forces.
All right, it's gone.
That's what's tough, though. You never quite know what the right thing to discard is, because they're all useful their own way.
Yep, and you never know what the next card they deploy is, right? I mean, if they throw a code gate out there right now, we're like, man, we should have trashed the code gate. So before we see what they do, I'm leaning towards throwing out a couple of assets here. And before we see what our next card is, I'm like, let's get these out here, right? Do we still want to use this on the daily cast, even though they got 6 money?
You have to trash it to use it. I'd never played that card before.
What's that?
Yeah, the Malia.
Yeah, they'd have to trash it to get it back to functioning appropriately.
Okay, so you choose a card, and it's a one-time use.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. You choose a card, and you can blank the text box on a non-virtual resource. So in this case, they've spent a click and 3 credits to get that daily cast running. Then they've gotten 2 credits back, and we would spend a click and 1 credit to deny them the further 6.
Yep.
And cost them 3 if they want to get it back.
And a 4 credit trace as well. So.
And the 4 credit trace, yeah.
Yeah, I think definitely play that. You get to res it for free off the Moomba Temple anyways. So And then depending on what you draw, I mean, that might change the line of play, but I would think like install the Maryland, install the Malia, res the Malia, and maybe mandatory draw is installable, install it. If not, maybe put down one of those ice.
So I'm not sure what the people who will end up watching your video can see, but there's like twice the number of people nearly in the other chat right now. So it feels kind of fun being part of the smaller underdog team here.
Yeah, the situation is, and this was a conversation going on in the Itinerant Pro-Testers chat throughout the weekend, is that everybody's really coming in here because their runner play is not good, right? And I'm in the same boat. I feel like at first I really sucked at the Corp, like I didn't, but now that I've kind of played enough, the Corp actually has, to me, a more defined winning condition, and you feel like you're in control, versus the runner, which is like, how am I building my deck? How does that play into me actually saying I'm going to concentrate on R&D whenever they ice up 4 ice on R&D, and you're like, what do I do now? You know, the winning conditions is a lot more focused on knowing the Corp and solving the puzzle, and you can't always just like put together a deck that's just, I'm going to go for the kill, but if they get more money than me, then I'm going to try and advance out type thing, right? It's just, it's not as defined to me.
Especially as Anarch too, they're kind of just at the mercy of what comes into their hand, and the nature of that faction is just so based on disruption that they probably are having very similar conversations over on that side of the table, like wondering whether it's worth making a run, knowing the threat of the trace in the tag, knowing the threat of hard hitting news, seeing that you have 13 credits against their 5. Like they can't run recklessly. They have to run very confidently and know they're going to get value out of it. But they just gave us something to blank with Malia though.
Yep. And
so now we should definitely blank the new daily cast with Malia.
For sure.
Yep. And I'll tell you this, that is why all I said was I just need one person over here, but I'm glad to have 2. And because I'm here. If I wasn't playing, I'd probably be sitting back just listening. If we had 4 people in this chat and I wasn't playing, I'd probably just be kicked back, just soaking in the knowledge, right? Maybe somebody have said a few words, but since, what are we going to do for our last click for I do this? Gain a buck or, oh, no.
What did you throw down in the remote?
I threw down the Maryland campaign.
Okay. I threw down the Maryland.
We could. So at this moment, the other thing that we can do is we can start working on the Bologna here. They've only got 5 credits. They're going to get 3 at the start of their turn, bringing them up to 8, but that's still not enough to steal.
They're going to get 5.
They may not have.
So you want to pull back the Maryland campaign, throw out the Malia, res it, bust up the daily cast, and then get the Bologna out here with 1 advancement on it? And we can use this one.
We need to pull back the Maryland campaign, right? We can just put in we can put out Malia, we can res it, and we can put in put the Bologna in the remote with the in server 4.
Here's the thing though, if we put the Bologna in there with an advancement, we can use this counter next turn along with 3 clicks to get it done though.
That's true, but sort of the argument that I was trying to make there is that I don't think that they're going to be able to steal it next turn, so we don't have to be in such a hurry.
So you think they're going to get 3 money every turn on top of this, but you still feel good about it?
Yeah, I guess there's no clear way for them to get in to that server anyways right now. Wait, oh no, wait, there's an FTP.
It's the FTP, so they can just take the tag. If they run early, they can take the tag. If they float the tag, then they're messed up. But think about this: they're gonna start their turn with 8 credits. Let's assume they run click 1, right? Mm-hmm. So then they steal the Bologna and pay 5. So they're now down to 3 credits. Given that, we then have a guaranteed land of the hard-hitting news, and then they're pretty well buried.
Yep.
But what can we do with the
So,
hard hitting news besides trash resources at this point?
that's true, but it's also going to be hard for I mean, trashing resources is one thing we can do, but it's going to be very hard for them to dig out from under that.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
especially if the economy,
for a project deal, if you get it right, if they say
that's true, and we,
the tags, then
that's right. Then we have a psychographics into Beal.
So you're good at leaving this this balloon out for 2 turns. You want to go Malaya and Rez, shut down the daily cast, and then just put this balloon out there pretty much. And I'm good with that. Yeah, that's what y'all want to do? I'm all in.
Let's do it.
All right, let's do it. See how it works. What I've been doing so far ain't been working. All right, so we'll go ahead and do this first. Boom.
Use the Mamba Temple credit, yeah.
Yep. Oops. Select a target. Bam. Locked in. And then we will throw out the Bologna into server 4. Let's see how well 3 mines can do against 5, right? That's what you were saying earlier, Dean.
I feel like 5 might be too many. I'm not sure what it's like on that side over there, but
no, they got some good. They got some sharp players over there.
Head, trying to.
Yeah, they got some sharp players over there. So, but we've got a really good deck on our side that's all about bluffing. So even when you make mistakes, you can just chalk it up to bluffing, because sometimes mistakes even work out with decks like this, right?
What's in their bin at this point? Did they zero already? They just zeroed, yeah. They got, so now they have the Black Orchestra in their bin.
So they got
they have a full
breakers.
They have all the bin breakers in the bin.
So, it's too bad we haven't seen a Jeeves yet. That would be really helpful.
Yeah.
So if they don't if they don't contest the remote, do you advance it 3 times next turn, or do you advance it twice and do something else, knowing you could score it out?
Two lines of thought here. You could just advance it once, right? And that'll make them think it's a trap because you've got this token. But you could also advance it twice so that you could save this token for a future agenda to try and win the game, right? So.
Yeah, if you get if you can manage to save your remastered token and you just draw into a project deal, you can fast advance it and win. This is a 3-2.
Now we could go advance, and then throw another piece of ice on that, right? On this server here. And make them spend even more money to get those breakers out for it.
Yeah, so it would cost them what, 3 plus the 4 to install the paperclip to get through the IP block. It would cost them 2 to get through the 2 plus 3 to get through the Enigma.
Yeah, it's going to run them, like you said, 4 to get it installed. Then it's going to cost them another, 3 to get it up to strength and break. So that's 7 right there. Then they can either install that sentry or just pay $4 to get through all the subroutines, right?
Yeah. So there's that 11, and they have a bad pub, so it costs them 10 to get in, and then plus 5 to steal it. So they're not even threatening that yet.
Yeah,
But
and
they could get there. They could get there.
they could. I'm hoping they spend some money to continue to advance their rig, because if they drop down to where the 3 they're going to get next turn doesn't put them even close to 15, then I'm feeling really good about it. If they're sitting close to 15 when they end this turn, I'm really concerned about next turn that Bologna surviving. But like y'all say, even if they do survive, they've still got 0 credits when they get done with it, and we're looking with a hard-hitting news, right? So
Right.
Yeah, so one thing to think about here is to try to imagine, like, if you want them to spend credits on their rig, then what are we hoping that they're spending their credits on? And it's not clear to me that there's a whole lot else that they really would want to do. Okay, well, so there's an answer to that. They want...
Yep. They got money in the
more
bank.
money.
And they got this one right here, which is going to trash our ice whenever they come through as well.
That's fair.
All right, so we're going to res this bad boy. I don't know why I didn't update my...
It'll do it once you hit start turn.
Yeah.
Okay. I guess I'll just use the 1 credit then. We got good money, that's for sure. Sitting pretty, not great money, but we're sitting better than I usually am. All right, I'm almost feeling like we need to draw again right here. What are y'all thinking?
Well, so the question is, like, what are we going to do with our turn here? So I thought the one idea was to double advance and install an IP block.
Yep. That's still feasible.
That gets it so that they're going to have to spend 15 credits at least to steal that Bologna. Now, again, they're going to get 3 credits at the start of their turn, which puts them at 16, right? And they've got the Liberated sitting there. So they have plenty of money right now.
Yep. They're going to get it if they want, but like you said, at the end of the day, we'll have, 16, 14 credits left, and they'll be down to probably 3 or 4 at the most.
They're either going to spend all their money getting it, and they'll get 3 points and also have 4 tags, or they're going to let you score it.
Now, my thing is, we could mess around, and here's the thing. We can mess around and drop an Enigma and an IP block on this one, which would make them bring out all their breakers and advance this once. We're pretty much going Glacier CTM at that point, though.
Yeah, I'm worried about...
How it would work, but maybe, I mean, it would cost them a lot of money to contest the remote at that point.
Yep.
I'm worried about that sort of line of play because we might need to use that ice for other things later, and we don't have a lot of ice, although we happen to have drawn a surprising amount of it.
Yeah. All right. So what are you thinking then?
I'm feeling the double advance and ice play. Roll. What do you think?
Yeah, that seems safe. You can keep one of the ice in hand in case you happen to get flooded next turn, or if you draw into a Jeeves you want to protect. So, yeah, I would think IP block on server 4 and then advance it twice.
Got it.
That also defends us a little bit against Hippo, that the Hippo is going to have to go for the IP block.
That's true. And IP block is cheaper, so we can always just throw another one out after they use their Hippo and kind of protect it in a future turn if need be.
Hopefully you won't need to.
That's true.
If you, yeah, I would just spend 3 clicks and score it out next turn, unless like something crazy happens and save that counter for something else.
Yep.
Unless they make a run. If they make a run and the agenda survives, then I could see a line where you advance it twice, use your token, and then hard hitting news. But it would depend on how much money they have when they end their turn.
Yeah, at this point, we'd have to pour a ton of money into the HHN as well. I would have plenty of money to clear all the tags, so I have to see what they do here.
Group think happening, yes.
Talking is what they should be saying. And not thinking. We're talking.
Firing.
They've got it all besides this thing just sitting there being a dud for them. The good news is we do have them running out of their other two on this one. Oh, they're getting money. They're going for it. I wonder if they're going to run last click or not here. I think they got enough money. I'd go for it now. How about you guys? If it was you.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know what they're doing with all that money.
Yeah. They got nothing to do besides spend it. I mean, they definitely want to have a big bankroll to protect themselves against hard hitting news. And
yep. So are we resin?
They're going to make it through and steal this. It looks like that's going to cost them a lot of money.
We're resin both, right?
Yeah, for sure. And in any case, we get the IP block res for free off the Mumba Temple. So
very nice. I'm loving that.
I'm gonna have to drop off soon here and get my kid ready for bed. But if y'all are still playing once I'm done, I will rejoin.
Absolutely. It's really flexible unless you're the person who rogered up to play that week, you know. So you're always welcome. Like I said, anytime.
Ooh.
They've said to fire all.
Really? So what is our conditions here? When the runner encounters IP, give him her one tag if there's not. So if successful, and then end the run if the runner is tagged. So they're pretty much saying it comes out cheaper for them to go this way, huh?
Yeah, absolutely.
We're just going to let go 3, right?
You pay them to make them spend money or no?
I don't think so, because we can't pay enough to land a tag, and I don't think it's worth us bankrupting ourselves to try and just get them to spend money.
Yeah, it's a tough situation for sure. They're definitely getting through here a lot cheaper than what we were expecting, though, unfortunately.
That's true, and so that's a good lesson for all of us to learn, is that we got to read our ice a little more carefully, and that remember that they didn't need to break that one.
Yep.
And similarly here, they're just going to pay 4 and get through.
They're letting these fire too.
Okay. Well, what should be our target for the F to P?
The turning wheel, right?
Oh, he's paying. They're paying for it. They're paying for it.
Hold on, they're paying for it. So let's just say done. They messed up.
They paid into it, so.
All right, here we go. Continue to pass. So they're down to 18. That'll put them at 13. We'll get 3 money back at the beginning of the turn. I don't think it's time to use the hard-hitting news, though. Do y'all? At that point, when we're only up by 3 creds, we would have to...
I'm not sure. I think it. Well, I don't know. Maybe this is silly, but it might be. Like, if we can bankrupt them.
They won't take it, though, right? Oh, yeah, I see what you're...
No, you're right. We shouldn't boost into that. That was silly.
What is that up there? They just played a... Must pay 5 or take 1 bad... Did they just trash that? Trashes due to net.
Yeah, they trashed it from 0.
Okay. All right. Are we ready? Let's see what we get here. We're back up to 16. I almost feel like we draw. We need to throw some more assets out there, right?
I agree. I think that yeah, we've had a few turns where we've been just drawing ice, and that hasn't been that helpful.
All right, so we're gonna draw at least once. Let's see what we get here. It's pretty good. At this point,
draw again, and then install the Maryland.
Yeah, I agree.
What's that?
Draw again.
I think we.
Okay.
Install Maryland.
Yeah, I like it.
Oh, it's not an agenda. Good. Where do you install that card instead?
Credits to a card ability other than NASX. You may spend up to 2 credits to place that many power counters on NASX. Gain 2 for each.
So, for example, if we gain credits off Pad Campaign or Maryland Campaign, we'd get a counter on NASX.
I like that one. It's also a more expensive trash cost as well. If you are good.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
Now you just hope they don't run HQ and get lucky.
Yeah. It's 16 to 14. Well, they're about to get 2 more bucks, so that'll put it 16, 17. But if they don't trash that server 8 there, we're going to get some decent money next turn. We'll get 4 money. Plus, we'll get a counter. We could get up to 2 counters on that as well, the NASX. I love the way that building looks on NASX right there. It looks really awesome. Looks very prestigious, doesn't it?
Looks expensive. I don't quite understand how that card works. So you pay money into it to put counters on it to get your money back.
Yeah, so
no, you don't have to pay to put the counters on. It accumulates the counters anytime you get money from a card ability. So for example, when Pad Campaign fires, you get a token on NASX. And then you spend a click and you can trash NASX to cash in all its tokens for 2 credits each.
But it says you may spend up to 2 credits to place that many power counters on it, though.
Oh, did I misread it?
But here's what you get, though, right? You get to place them on there, and basically double your money though, right? For each one you put on there, you'll get 2 for $1. And you get $1 each turn. So you gain $1 each turn. If you pay to put a counter on there for one, if you use a click and trash this asset, you'll get $2 in return for each power counter on there.
Yeah. Good. Okay, that's right. Yeah.
It's not bad, but it's risky, right? It's risky to be spending the power counters on there because they can come and trash it.
Yeah, although it gives you a credit every turn, so you could put a power counter on it every turn for basically break even.
Right. Yep.
And then, maybe they feel later like they have to go and trash it.
See what they do with it here. They're probably spending the 4. They got 1 for the run, so they're only spending 3 to trash. Oh, but they got to deal with the trace too, though. That'd be $7.
Yeah, so that makes it essentially a 6 credit trash.
Even though in that case, is $4 worth a click and 2 credits? That's the question of the hour. You know what I mean? Like, do you spend?
Well, I mean, they in that case they would probably. Yeah, I see what you're saying.
That's what I mean is
hard to know.
Yeah, sometimes a click is considered worth more than a credit, right? And a card's worth more than a credit. So you're dealing with, is it cheaper to just pay 4 for it, or is it cheaper to spend a click and 2 credits?
Yeah.
I'm going to disappear for a bit, guys, but I'm going to stay on, and if I can jump back in, then I will.
Yep, sounds good.
Great.
All right, later on.
Later. I got to find some way to get like the list of people who are in each chat up here so I can have their names up here for people to see. But for now, we introduced everybody at the beginning on our side. Let me try this real quick here. So we got Ed playing on the other side, Anarch Mushroom, Anarcho Mushroom, Bosley, Meeting Adjourned, and Yesengrin. I'm awful with pronouncing things. And then we got me, Dean, and James here on our side. So that's the cruise. All right, let's see. Are we resin this Enigma here?
As well, we res for only 1 real credit.
Yep, that's true. Somehow they're keeping their money up quite well through all this.
Well, they had that the Liberated, which was worth a lot. And they've had that Rozeki ticking now for some turns.
Yeah. You really, when you're playing against this deck, you really have to say, I'm going to take this turn to trash as many assets as possible, and you need to miss bones, because that way you only have to deal with the trace that one time.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And the answer here is definitely yes.
What did they... I thought it's only if you trash installed Corp cards.
They trashed your ice, which is an installed Corp card.
Yeah. So 4, right? We're just charging them 4.
Yeah, I don't see any reason to boost into this.
Yep. They took the tag. They obviously think a click and 2 credits is cheaper.
Well, they might actually just be straight up worried about money, because having blanked one of their pad campaigns, they've used another one, they've used a Liberated, they've used a Dirty Laundry. So, and we haven't really been tracking what they've lost in the 0 stuff. So they might be starting to run out of econ cards in the deck.
Yeah, that's true.
Uh,
Well, I guarantee
they
you they
also-
got 2 more Liberateds in there. So when they get that, they'll be back in the game pretty easy. We got to kind of move before they probably get that out.
Yeah, that seems right.
So they trashed a Rashida, and they're going in for a second. They're making a second run on here after they trashed a Rashida.
Right. Well, I mean, they might. Yeah, they might as well. If they've already trashed one thing, they might as well keep trashing, right?
For sure. And then they removed the tag last click. So do we want to res this? Now it's going to cost us 2, or do we want to just save it for next turn if we have the money from Mamba Temple here?
Yeah, I don't see any particular reason to pay for that.
Yeah.
I mean, we did get them to waste a click checking it, so that's nice. But I don't think that. I don't think I'd pay real credits for it.
All right. Sounds good. We will go ahead and pop into getting 3 money. I'm almost thinking we could draw and then install Mamba Temple and Maryland campaign, and then we'll be able to pretty much pay for both of these ice or money generating cards next turn.
That's true. Yeah, we could also. Yeah, I mean, getting more assets out there is always good.
We could throw an agenda out there, and along with the 3 assets, we could pop all 3 assets out there, and one of them be the agenda. That seems like a TF-34 move there.
Yeah, so that's sort of what I was thinking is like, what are our chances of, I mean, at this moment, we can also score the Beal from hand with the remastered token.
True.
And the other thing that we should think about though is hard hitting news. We have a good credit lead. They ran last turn, so we can actually use it, and it might be enough of a threat to sort of build our credit lead further. So it's worth thinking about saving some clicks for hard-hitting news.
So you want to drop Mamba and then Maryland and then hit a hard-hitting news, and as long as we got a couple bucks left, we can pretty much res all these and get, 6 money back next turn? Just about 5 money?
Yeah, something like that.
They're not going to spend it. If we drop them...
But let's think a little bit, before we commit to that, let's think about the HHN trace and like what that's going to be.
Yeah, see, if we spend let's see, it's we're going to spend 3 to do it, and then if we spend 8 more to get it up to 12, so that's $11. If we spend $11 and we get it up to 12, they're not going to spend the 11 to stop it. So they're going to have $11, and we're going to have, and 4 tags, and we're going to have $7 left.
So, given that, one thing that we might think about doing is instead of putting the Mamba and the Maryland out, but putting out the Beal instead, because if we spend 11 and we make sure that those tags land, then they're very likely to spend at least part of their turn clearing tags, and when they're tagged, the IP block gains an end the run subroutine.
No, it's when it gains the end the run if the runner is tagged. Yeah.
Right. So that stiffens up the IP block and might defend the Beal and create a window for it.
Sure. So you're wanting to drop, are you wanting, I would, if I had to choose between these two to put, I'm thinking drop a Mumba Temple, a Project Bill, and then the hard hitting news, because we can actually use this, we can res this Mumba Temple with this one, and then res this with the one we just deployed.
That's true. Yeah. Okay.
All right. And you want to put the bill behind the ice, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. So I should also say I'm not like super confident in this play, but it just occurs to me that this might be a way to use the hard hitting news to make a scoring window for ourselves.
I almost want to hang on to the hard hitting news and go ahead and put out these three out, not even one behind the server, right? Make them jump around, try and find an agenda, and if they don't, we score it for 3. And then we also, at the beginning of our next turn, advance res all these cards and get like $7.
Okay. I mean, that if that's a play you're feeling good about, then let's go for it.
Which place do you want to put the agenda, though, is the question.
Oh, I never think too hard about that stuff. I just sort of put it out there casually and hope for the best.
All right, here we go. You ready?
Let's do it.
This is why I lose a lot, though. But
well, again, we're here to learn, and we're here to try stuff, and we're here to just sort of see how it goes, right?
Yep. But it's the fun of the game, man. It's just taking chances, right? And you're sitting there on the edge of your seat, like, what's gonna happen? And when it works, it's like so exciting, and when it fails, you're just like, oh well, you know. This is what it is. If we get through this turn and they don't go to the bill, though, oh, they're checking them all.
Yeah, it looks like they're gonna check everything. Interesting to see if they trash. Okay. So they're not committing to trashing stuff, but they are going to take the deal. That's too bad.
Yep. They watch TF34 too much. Everybody's checking everything on this deck now, you know, after they get a little set up. I wish that was another agenda right there, because I don't think they're going to check another one now.
Yeah, it sort of depends on what else they've got going on in their deck. Yeah, so there you go, is to run R&D and see if they can get the winning agenda off.
No, they ran headquarters.
They might even dump their tokens in. Yeah, there you go.
They're going to get to see everything in headquarters. They should have went R&D all day.
Well, at least they came up empty from that, so...
I wish we had market forces. Hopefully we draw it right now, man. How
we know that we're gonna draw. Oh, they ran HQ.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's what I was saying. They would have done better to go.
I assumed that they were running R&D to try and win.
They probably thought we was agenda flooded.
So I wonder what they.
They thought we was agenda flooded because I was just gonna throw an agenda out there like that. You know it.
Yeah, they must have thought we were flooded.
Which is good. I mean, that pulled it off, even though we're down 5-2 at this point, so we're not in a great place. All right, is this the agenda to win the game? All right, so let's do this. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to res the Mumba Temple. Boom. Then I'm going to res the... This is good. We're going to pay $1 to basically get $3. All right. So we're up to 17. They're down to 12. Oh, I hadn't even started my turn yet. We're going to get $6 here. So start turn.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Market forces, please.
Yeah, we want to do that. Do we want to do the NASX counter or no?
It didn't actually... Oh, if I'd have done the NASX first... Whenever you gain credits to a card ability other than from NASX, you may spend up to 2 to place that many counters. Why did I not get counters for NASX that turn?
There was a prompt earlier that I think we could have said yes to that would have done that. But yeah, I wonder if one of the others knows how to fix that.
Because I'll mess around and use that this turn because we could literally have put like 10. How much would it be?
I think it's we can spend up to 2.
I think we could get 6 counters on there
per time.
Yeah, I think we can get 6 counters on there because we had the Maryland, and the pad campaign, and we can get 12 monies back for 1 click.
Yeah, that is pretty good.
Yep. Whenever you gain credits through a card ability other than Nazix. Now, is this a card ability? Is an asset a card ability?
It should be.
Yeah. You may spend up to 2 to place that many counters on Nazix. What I'll ask them to do is just let me spend 6 and I'll put 6 counters on there and then I'll trash it for 12. But I just want to make sure I'm reading the card, understanding how the card works. This is really, oh, he's disconnected.
So one of the things we might think about though is that the Nazix counters are one way to get out of a economic hole from dumping money into like an HHN trace. Oh, are they having connection problems?
Spend 6. All right, so we're going to manually just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then we're going to go counter 6. Put that on there. What? Why didn't it put the 6 on?
You have to like, does it say what kind of counters they are?
Power counter. Usually it doesn't matter. Oh,
so I think it's like set power counter. Isn't that the command?
like that?
Yeah, and then 6.
Somebody knows the command. Command is...
If you click on help at the top, there's actually a list of commands in the help thing.
Yeah, I know. He's about to give me the command though. I always don't want to take the time to hunt it down usually.
Okay.
Awesome. Just learned something new today. Counter P2.
No.
Oh wow, I can only do 4.
Well, I mean, is he cool with us just taking 2 credits back and then having 4 credits or 4 counters?
Hang on, let me see. Yep, it let me do it.
That's weird that there's a maximum.
Oh, it isn't a maximum. He just thought that I only was able to get 4 because they missed me doing the other Maryland campaign. All right, so I say we. What is this? If the runner accesses Mumba virtualized installed, he or she must trash it if able. I say we put that out, gain 12 credits. I say we draw a card, put that out, gain 12 credits. What do you think?
Let's draw a card for sure and see what we draw, and we can.
I still
So like I would be inclined to just spam those 2 assets out.
and not score this.
And
He's going
again,
to trash it though.
that's true.
That's $12. So which one of these you
But
want to put out?
If they trash it, then we get a CTM trace.
Yeah, but we already invested $6 into it this turn.
That's true. So we spend 6 credits, and they spend 6 credits. So 5 credits plus their bad pub. So 5 credits and 2 clicks.
Yep. I think it's better for us to get this money.
Okay.
Now, I say that. Oh, is it 2? It's just 1. Okay. All right, $30. We're sitting much better for hard-hitting news.
That's true.
In fact, we could hit hard-hitting news and still have a ton of money. The problem is we don't have anything to use with it, though.
That's true. And the other issue that we've got, is we don't have an agenda right now to like make a window for.
We could
So
throw
it's
this.
probably, I would say, better at this moment to just put out some more assets.
We could throw this behind the this server here and make them run it.
True. Yeah, we could see if they do it. That would be nice.
It would be really nice if they did it.
I mean, I wonder if because we can't advance it, they might be pretty suspicious.
Yeah.
It's
But they also
not an agenda.
Yeah, but they could also be sitting there saying, "Oh man, that is a they're going to use remastered edition to score another remastered edition," and they're trying
That's
to
true.
and keep us out. We hadn't got any of the really good trick cards this turn, this game really yet. Like the what's some of the ones, some of the ones that you use whenever they're tagged and all of them to mess with them, and.
Yeah, we had the one market forces. We still haven't seen a Jeeves, which is wild.
The psychographics, that's what I'm talking about. That psychographics would be real good.
Yeah, for sure.
And no Jeeves, like you said, no Jeeves, no daily business show. All the stuff that gets this deck rolling really well has not come out. But
we're muddling through here.
Yep. If they run this server and get broke, right? If they do that, then we're going to be in a really good place, though, because we're going to be able to pretty much hit them with that hard-hitting news for cheap. And if they get under 8 credits, they won't even be able to scrap all the tags before their next turn. But honestly, there's no reason why I wouldn't just run R&D at this case myself. Whenever I'm at 5 agenda points, I'm like, I want to see 2 cards, versus spending.
Well, so one of the issues they have, though, remember, is that every time they run, they open themselves up to hard-hitting news.
Yep.
And so they do want to be a little judicious about it.
Yep. And the other thing is, this is an upgrade, which is really good because when we do put an agenda in there with it, if they access that card first and it's a bill, then they could potentially lose the 5 they needed to be able to score it.
The Bologna, yeah. Yeah, it's a nice pairing with that. Can you scroll the log down? Have they done stuff?
They trashed the hippo due to net damage.
Oh, I see. So they use 0. That's what that was. Okay.
They're running dirty laundry on R&D, and I'm assuming they're going to use the turning wheel power counter, but they might not. They might go 2 more runs on R&D and then run 3 and then try and see 3 cards instead of 2. I hope they saw something really scary.
Yeah, it seems like they've paused to read something. Man, I have to say at this point, I can't wait to watch. Are they recording their side as well?
They're supposedly supposed to. Ed said he's not super technically savvy, so there's always a chance the recording doesn't go the way it's supposed to. But I'm hoping for I'm hoping for success on that side as well, right?
Oh man, I mean, I am so anxious to watch
They're
their
doing
side
it.
of this.
This is so good. This is the
Oh,
best.
with bravado. Okay.
They are going to
Interesting.
get some money back, but they're going to spend a lot too. I'm excited about this for them, aren't you? This is
Very
what
much
we
so,
wanted. This is what we wanted. Unfortunately, they're going to get a good bit of money back. They'll end up getting 8 credits back.
Yeah.
All right. They indicate to fire.
Yeah, they just want to trace.
Yeah.
It's cheaper.
Now, if we give them a tag, we could end the run. What would that? But I don't want to end the run. I just want to make them spend $3. I think we could.
Yeah, for sure.
We could bump it to 5 to like 2
No,
more. We don't want
I
them.
don't know that it's worth spending our money on that.
All right. I'm just thinking their amount of money is a lot less than ours and the broker we can get. But yeah, with the bravado coming back, they're going to come up anyway.
Yeah.
Now, I'd love to get a market forces next turn, but I doubt I doubt that's what that is. Otherwise, well, they might run it just because they're like, oh no, what do we do? We're going to get market forces next turn. But they wouldn't run the bravado because they would want to just be as broke as possible whenever you hit them with market forces, probably. All right. So resolves no further action. So they're going to have to spend 4 on this, which they do. So they're down to 8. And now they're going to have to spend 5, which puts them at 3, but they get 8 back to equal
11.
They'll be back up to 11 credits. So they pretty much just wasted a bunch of time. Oh, and now they got a trace too. Oh yes, this is so good. They can't
That's
do.
it.
They're taking a tag.
Amazing. Amazing.
Now here's the question. Because here's the thing. They're going to take the tag, but immediately, oh no, there's no reason to bump it. Never mind. Okay, so
No, I don't think so.
So we're doing that. So they're back up to 11, but now they're down to 9. So they're at $9. We're at $29. So a hard hitting news would run us 3 plus 5 plus 6, $9. We'd still be at 20. And we're going to get some money here too. Oh, and now we got our Jeeves.
Yep.
So do we want to go?
So what we could
Go ahead.
install CBG and then install Jeeves and then HHN.
Okay. And with this one, when your turn begins, we won't want to res that until we're done. Unfortunately, this would have been a great time for a agenda out there, and we don't have it.
Yeah, very much so.
And I think that's gonna hurt us just a little. Do we want to go G's behind the server, or we just want to put it out there? At this point, they're broke.
Yeah, I would just put it out there.
Okay. And we're going to spend 6 money. Man, that we needed an agenda right there, though.
Yeah, well, we can just hope.
I mean, they're going to be in a bad place right here. I'm assuming they're not going to float these tags. They could.
Yeah, I'm assuming not either.
They
Yeah,
did.
because the turning wheel is their win condition. So
No.
if they get tagged, and we get to snipe their turning wheel, then
You want to
we're
go
in
and
good
res?
shape.
You want to go and res these both now?
Do we need to res Jeeves right now?
We don't necessarily need to. We can keep them guessing.
Yeah, so I would invite them to run that and find out.
Yep. Concur. All right. That is 6 money coming our way. Very nice. That's good money. We're back up to $29. They're down to 2.
So one thing that we might also want to do again is ice up R&D
Okay.
this turn. And the only reason I'm thinking that, and I mean, I don't know. Anyway, the reason I'm thinking that is because they don't have much money,
Yep.
but they still have their turning wheel, and we know that the agendas are not in HQ, and so they've got to be in R&D, and they're on game point.
Yep. I'm leaning towards the IP blocker because they already got the code gate out. That's going to cost them 4, even though they've pretty much just been taking the trace, but they're a lot broker now, right? So.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, the trace is more threatening now that they're sitting only on 2 credits.
So we're going to, oh wait, but first I actually want to draw at least once, if not 2 times before we put that out there, because I'm looking for agendas at this point. You?
Yeah, let's try one more time.
Okay.
And see what we get.
Draw. That's good. I say we draw again and then this ice up R&D.
Okay.
You good?
Yeah.
I'll take that. We're definitely going to be rich before this thing's over. The question is, can we capitalize on it?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean we are flying with a lot more money than I kind of imagined we would be. It was interesting to me that they didn't. Did they throw out that mining accident, or did they lose it from 0? Maybe they lost it from 0. Because I'd be kind of surprised that they didn't play it on us, especially since we have open central, so the run on the central is easy.
They trashed a card using patchwork to reduce the cost of Sure Gamble to get it at 3 credits. So they gained $1 and then utilized that and then drew a card. So they only have 1 card in hand. Man, if does this deck run any kind of kill to it at all? I don't think so.
No.
Oh man.
No, it doesn't have a kill package.
What a right. So they didn't run that time, did they?
No.
All right, we still got this. We're going to get some good money here. We're going to be up to like $35. Boom. Another Jeeves that does nothing. I really feel like we draw here at least once. I'm interested in getting this out this turn, obviously, but that's about it. You?
Yeah, and the other thing that we can do is we can also install the other Jeeves. You can only have 1 Jeeves rezzed at a time, but you can have multiple on the table.
So you want to draw, and depending on what we get, pop 1 and 1 out then?
Maybe. Let's definitely draw once and see what we get.
All right. Oh my goodness.
Okay. Well,
that's really average at best because all it takes is for him just to install that paper clip and it's garbage, you know?
Yeah.
So are you thinking install, or are you thinking draw, install, Bakers?
What? Let's Well, so if we draw again, we're going to end up trashing something. I suppose we could trash the wraparound because, as you point out,
Yeah.
it's not. Although at this point, paying 4 to install the paperclip is a pretty big tax. Start at the start of their next turn, they're going to have 10 credits. So that's 4 credits is a lot.
We could also toss the code gate because he's got that out, right? That's not a problem.
Yeah, that one's just a 2 credit tax.
Yeah. So draw.
I don't know. It depends on how you're feeling about that. But maybe let's draw one more time.
I'm really trying to get an agenda out here before they get rich again because they're finding ways to get paid. So
yeah,
I'm gonna draw another Jeeves.
Yeah.
Thanks, and I'm gonna go ahead and throw this commercial banker out there. And I'm gonna go ahead and trash one of these Jeeves at this point, unless you really got a problem with that.
Nope, that's fine.
If they spend $10 to trash 2 Jeeves, more power to them.
Right. $10 plus a CTM trace.
Yep. 2 CTM traces because I'm kind of not planning to put them out here together unless I keep drawing garbage and got nothing better to do.
So we've got 5 agendas in the bottom 21 cards. That's a lot of agendas there.
I know what they're sitting around thinking. They're probably thinking we suck really bad, like these guys don't know what they're doing. And it's like, which that could be true.
That may be true.
Yeah, that may be, but I think they know we don't have any agendas because they see us digging, though, right?
Yeah, that's got to be pretty informative. So the question that we have to think about now is how are we going to create scoring windows, given that we're likely to start drawing agendas pretty soon.
Mm-hmm. And that is the real challenge here because we don't have the luxury, due to it being 5 points, because everything's a 2-point or 3. We don't have the luxury of throwing one out there hoping he doesn't get it. We literally have to have a window of some sort. And how are we going to force them to make runs that cost them money to get them down to a place where they don't have the credits and we actually have a window? Market forces.
Well, again, we do have the HHN in hand.
Yep.
If they start making runs, we can use that to try and use that plus our enormous credit lead.
Yep. We would definitely need a market forces to take advantage, though, right? If we could hit them with HHN. Well, I take that back.
That would be helpful.
Yeah, but it would be.
If they decide to float a tag, it would be helpful.
Yep. I almost feel like at some point, if we get another bill, I'm thinking about scoring it out of hand, honestly, and then let's put our trust in the Bologna, getting them to a place that when we put that Bologna out there, they don't have the credits to actually steal it. So, but that might not be the right line of thinking here. We'll have to see how things go. Again, I don't do very well at Netrunner on a regular basis, so I don't want you to think I know what I'm talking about here, but I'm just trying to work things out in my brain just like you are.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like a little bit like I'm also not super great. So We're both learning together, that's for sure.
Yep. Well, the cool thing is we'll be able to brag that two noobs ended up sticking it out with five other players. So
Yeah, that's all right. Yeah, we're doing pretty well considering.
I guess having a good deck helps out quite a bit, though, huh?
It can do. I mean, sometimes I find the really really competitive decks are a little bit harder to drive than just sort of like a homebrew thing or just sort of middle of the road deck
For sure.
from Netrunner DB.
Oh yeah. No, I know what you're talking about. There's times where I just look at them and I'm like, I've got no clue what this thing's trying to do. So, but with this one, you had the opportunity to watch videos and read the articles and all, so it's kind of set us up for success. We're definitely resin this. Oh yeah. Definitely no reason not to res that, but they're at $17 again. They're doing quite well.
Yeah, they've certainly managed their economy pretty well.
We had to be in a position, we had to be more aggressive earlier. We needed that bill that they stole. We needed that one scored, and for us to be at 4-3 right now, and we'd be feeling a lot better about this. All right, they're down to 13. They're going to look at 3 cards. I have a feeling they might see one. There's a very good chance.
Yeah, me too. If they dump their tokens into it. There we go. Yeah, I assumed they would.
Here we go.
All right, this could be it.
Wow, are they not going to see one? That would be unbelievable. No, they're sitting on that one a while. Yep.
There it is. Cool. So here's a couple of things that I saw that we should focus on a little bit for the future here is we need to make sure that we were thinking about like the alternative strategies for dealing with our ice. So instead, we had banked on them trying to to install their breakers and actually try and break the ice instead of just paying through traces and things like that. So we needed to slow down and read our ice a little more carefully.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that, I think that's what hurt us, is when we sort of gave them that Bologna off the sort of false supposition there. And then we definitely got a kind of a weird shuffle, but that happens sometimes, and so we've got to figure out how to play through it and like make the best of it.
Yep. Hey, Sarah, is it Sarah?
Hi, yep.
Hey, how you doing? Welcome.
Good, you?
Good. So we just finished the game, and we're only doing one tonight, but they're inviting us to jump onto the runner side chat, everybody, and kind of talk about the game a little bit. Are y'all interested in bouncing over there?
Sure, sounds good.
All right, we're heading over.
Yeah, definitely.
We're heading over right now.
We might drop a note for Raul just in case he comes back, so he knows where to go.
Yeah, for sure. I'll hit him up in the general. Hey there.
Hello.
Well,
hey, how's it going?
It's going good. Oh, is that Dean?
That was me, yeah.
All right, so from our perspective, we couldn't really, from my perspective, what I see is I couldn't let y'all get that bill. That bill right there, and then we didn't see any more agendas for forever, and it just was it was rough on us trying to have a whole bunch of money but nothing to do with it, pretty much.
Yeah, the naked Beal felt a little bit weird to me. And the fiddling around with NASX also felt like a click that wasn't doing anything for you.
Yeah, from our side, I think there were three things we didn't like in the game. And there was one play that we really liked that you did. The three things we didn't like were the NASX. I think you were ahead on money already, and it didn't progress the game for you. And I think with CTM, you want to be constantly putting the runner in a difficult position. It didn't change our position. That was one. I think you needed hard-hitting news a turn earlier than you did. And the naked Beal, I get why you did it. And yeah, better lucky than good. You know, if you scored that out, then the game's a different story. But I think you misread what we were going to be doing next turn, which was sweeping those 3 cards. So we just went from left to right, and we could have gone from right to left.
Yeah. So if I would have put it behind, let's say if we would have put it behind the server 4 ice, would y'all, and put a couple of other assets out and then one behind the ice, what would y'all have done then, you think?
Run server 4.
You would have
It
run.
would have cost us more.
Yeah, for sure.
And then you had hard hitting. I think you had hard to use in hand at that point. So then we're in a sticky situation.
Yeah, because then we probably don't actually have the 8 credits we need to clear out, and things can get spicier.
Yeah, because then you guys have way better credit differential, and then you've also got at that point. Then we kind of have to sort of think: do we go tag me? At which point, you can do psycho. You can do psychographics into like a big Beal, or even just psychographics into a Bologna, and then you can score a Beal from hand with the remastered token. I think it just gives you more ways to win the game.
Yeah.
And you can also tax us out even more then. Like you can start because all your ice is pretty cheap, but it's relatively taxing. Even with the bad pubs that we have, it's relatively F2P is like 4 credits to get through, which is non insignificant. Especially if we've been hard hitting news, then we've had to go tag me and rebuild. And you can start putting money into the IP block trace as well if you really wanted to.
Yeah, we never got a psychographics, unfortunately, because that would have been really nice. And yep. And also I'll say this: me and Taekwon Dean, we are both sitting on probably about 300 to 400 games. So we're both relatively new. So next time, if we could have all 4 of you more, not all 4 of you, but one of you more veteran players swing over to the other side, that would help out a little bit too. So, but we got the video. Y'all can go back and see our thought process through it all, just like hopefully we have y'all's. And at the end of the day, I had a blast talking it out with somebody else and
oh yeah, definitely.
and learning. This was great.
Your MVT in server 4 play was really good as well.
Yeah, I don't think any of us was thinking about that line, or at least I wasn't. So.
I was really pleased with that play. I was really happy with that one.
Yeah, it was really sick.
Well, our hope was to break you.
If you'd drawn better than you did after that, I think the game's very different. So I think there's a degree of RNG.
Yeah, the other thing I'm thinking of now, maybe they'll think about, is you guys had ice in hand for a long time and weren't putting it on the board, which, I don't think would have made a difference this game, but there could be games where that was a better use of a click than some of the other stuff.
Yeah, and I'll say this: we had that hard hitting news in hand. And if you wouldn't have played that bravado, you guys would have been broke by the end of that. Talking about like 3 credits, we'd have hit you with a hard hitting news, and it would have been a rough time for you to dig out of that tag hole there, probably. So, well, you did. Yeah, no, you did have that sure gamble.
Lucky on a lot of our rolls there, so.
Yeah.
You guys rolled pretty low, and we ended up rolling right into all the money pretty much when we needed to off the top of the deck.
And so one of the other things that I was going to say about the HHN play is the reason we didn't do it earlier is that we hadn't seen an agenda in ages, and we were trying to sort of save it to manufacture a scoring window for ourselves, but we just weren't seeing agendas, and so it was sort of hard to know when to do it given that.
Yeah.
I think that makes sense, and like feel free to Jeff, feel free to correct me, but like I think even just the tempo hit of us having to take a turn, because like we had money that game, right? But if we have to spend 8 credits and 4 clicks to clear the tags, we would have gone down to about 2 credits, and we kind of have to spend another turn or maybe 2 turns rebuilding our economy again. So that hard-hitting news kind of translates into potentially 2 turns, maybe 3 if our draws are not great. 2 turns of us rebuilding, which might not manufacture a scoring window for you guys, but it gives you guys, 2 turns where you can kind of operate with relative freedom while we're trying to get back into the game after trying to clear a hard hitting. So I definitely think trying to engineer a scoring window is like totally legitimate. But I think just popping it off when you can easily afford to is equally as good.
Yeah.
Is my take.
Yeah, I can't remember everything at this point. It's all a blur as we were getting wrecked over here. But yeah, so I really enjoyed it, and we'll get somebody hopefully to set up a European one next week for a better time for another group, and we'll do it again though. We can pick different decks or whatever. So I'm excited about the prospect of doing this once a week and the amount of learning and fun that we can have from it.
Yeah, this is great. This is really, really good.
Yeah, it was really good, and actually, it was interesting talking through what you were doing with other people without having full information. What do we think their game plan is? That was particularly useful for me from the runner side, because that's playing this game. I think I knew my own lines, but I didn't think so much about what your lines might have been before. So listening to other people's opinions on what your lines might have been, I found particularly useful.
Yeah, and I'll say the best part about all that, what you're talking about, is normally I don't want to take too long on my turns because I don't want the other person to be bored. So I'm not necessarily taking the time to look at the other side of the board as hard. But with this, I knew y'all was probably over there talking and didn't care. Just like when y'all was taking forever on y'all's turn, we didn't care because we're over there talking. So it's like I felt it much more liberty to really look through everything really aggressively, and take my time, and which isn't good necessarily to expect to be able to do that in regular play, but if you do it now, you can gain those information you need to where you can process that information faster when you're playing a regular game in the future, though. So that's really fruitful for me.
Yeah, totally. It becomes muscle memory, doesn't it? When the more you practice something, the better you get at it. And,
Yep.
No, certainly.
All right, well, I'm going to go ahead and call it a night here at 2 hours, but it was a great 2 hours, and me and Ed and whoever can discuss what we're going to do with the videos here after to get them out so people can see and hopefully be excited about next week, right? And so,
yeah, brilliant.
Yeah, sounds good. Thanks for doing this, guys. This is a thing I was like, oh, I should do this as like new Netrunner content. And you guys went and did all the hard work, so I appreciate getting to see you guys do all this.
Yeah, this is great.
I'm sorry.
No. As I said, it's like it feels. Just joking about it, like it feels that we're a real testing group now, but it is like, I think that is like it is like 80% of getting better with Netrunner is like having somebody you can sit down beside and talk through the lines, because I think the worst thing that happens, it's certainly with me, and it happens a lot with Runner, because Runner is so reactive or reactionary. is that you can kind of just think about your game plan and you can kind of get tunnel visioned a little bit and insular. And being able to talk through not just your own different lines of play, but your opponent's lines of play, and kind of thinking, well, this is their board state. What are they going to do? And if they do that, how do I react to it? And even not even getting to that specific, but even just being able to say, okay, well, what's a general plan that we can do that regardless of what they do, we'll be able to respond with this, and it's going to give us the same or similar amount of value. No, this was like super good, and yeah, definitely want to get a Euro friendly time zone, so we're not staying up till after midnight talking about Netrunner.
I'm getting ahead. I've got to be up pretty late here.
Yeah, I'm glad you didn't start now. Like last night, it sounded like a really good idea. I was like, oh yeah, that's 2 hours ago.
Well, we're gonna need more Americans on the Itinerant Pro-Testers group, because right now it's like we got 3 on here or something. I don't know. We're gonna have a small group. It looks like y'all gonna have a pretty decent sized group for the European side of the house there.
Yeah, unfortunately, I work at 8 o'clock our time in the evening, so I'll be on the American side. I just have to then stay up a little bit later. But
I'll probably be able to join the I think it's like midday for me, maybe at 8:30 y'all's time. So I might be able to at least join as a spectator and listen and provide some occasional content. Definitely can't Roger up for a playing and dedicating myself to playing for 2 hours in the middle of the day on a Tuesday though. But so there's still a chance I can reap the benefits of the European side as well. So.
Just sort of like final closing thought. Was there anything that you saw on our side that you agreed with, disagreed with? It's been quite one way, the commentary.
Yeah. From my standpoint, all I saw is y'all just kept on finding ways to make money, and it was just so annoying. You know, that was all that was ticking me off. Just I kept on breaking you, getting you under 10 credits, and next thing you know, you're back up to 18 like every time. I'm like, how are they doing this? Half the time I was wondering. So, yeah. What about you, Dean? He's probably got much better commentary than that.
Oh, I don't know about that. I'd be interested to know. So, like, one of the key strategies against CTM can be to just simply try and like trash their board.
Yes.
And like go really hard in for clearing things out. And so I was curious that you guys didn't really do that. So a thought that occurs to me, of course, is that most of our assets aren't actually that threatening. So a lot of them you can just kind of let sit there. But there are definitely some that I might have thought about trashing if I was you.
So I don't like this CTM build. It came second in Worlds. So it was probably a really bad take. But I think you're totally right that there's not a lot of threatening stuff. I think you can let the econ get away, knowing that you can hit centrals, knowing that there's other lines that don't involve money. And so, like, you had Dream opening hand, right? You went Mamba, Rashida, Pad. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
That was it.
That's like the Dream. So we'd lost. I think we'd lost the econ race, turn 1. So that was never an issue. You create a fork with CTM, don't you? It's like, do I want to trash the things? Do I want to hit centrals? Do I want to improve my own board state? And you fork the runner. And so taking one of those forks away actually made our game plan more linear.
Yeah, like I think if like there are certain runners that are very well equipped to take on, like to try and dismantle the board state. Funnily enough, Val is one of them because of the bad pub.
Sure.
It just makes so much of the trash pulls.
And are you guys running like a Miss Bones or something?
No Miss Bones in this list. No.
Okay.
There's a mining accident which would have kind of done a similar job, but we never, because you guys got kind of the dream econ start, we never had a decent window to pop off a mining accident, because you guys could have just taken the 5 credits and dripped your way back up the turn after. So So yeah, but we were just like the econ race is just too far out. There's no point in us trying to dismantle the board state because they've already gotten all their value from their assets. There are other ways that we can I guess fight CTM, and one of them is just going after centrals, and building up our own econ so that eventually we can just start checking the remote if you decide to jam anything, which ended up being the case.
Yeah, indeed.
Yeah, there was probably like the turn. So we were definitely discussing trashing out the board state when the turn after we emptied out the liberated. But then I think like you guys put something in the remote, and we're like, okay, never mind, we just have to go there.
I think that was it. I think we emptied lib, and we were planning next turn to trash your board state, and then you install double advanced in server 4. So we zeroed into a bravado. I think that's what.
No, I think actually we just emptied. It had been in before, but you guys advanced it twice the following turn, and then we just said, oh, we were going to go and clear things out, but instead let's just hit liberated and go. Or at least that's what I remember.
Right. Yeah.
So from our perspective, I felt like that was one of the key misplays that we made. Is we had made a bunch of calculations based on you guys having to install breakers because we hadn't read our ice quite as carefully as we ought to have. And so we figured that, well, maybe you're going to steal this Bologna, but it's going to basically bankrupt you because you're going to have to install these breakers and then break through this ice and then pay 5 for Bologna. And then that turned out just like not to be true at all. And so we had just handed you 3 points for very little money, and that put us in a bad spot.
I think,
Yep.
Yeah, potentially paying the IP blocks, as weird as it is, might have been great.
because you guys had a serious credit differential over us, even before the NASX, because you guys were gaining at least 3 credits a turn for most of that game. And at one point you were gaining 5 a turn for a brief window, with 2 Marylands. So like you guys, even just putting in like 3 credits, 4 credits into the IP block, that suddenly becomes a much bigger tax for us. And even if we do steal that Bologna, then we go down to a very low credit threshold, and you can hard hitting us. You can what else can you do? You can further tax us. You can install another bit of ice on the remote. You can ice up centrals, and then it suddenly becomes harder for us to kind of attack your game plan.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Heaven forbid we have to float a tank and then you trash turning wheel.
Yeah, we talked about that a couple of times and chose not to. But yeah, now that hindsight 2020 and y'all sharing that, I definitely know some times where the credit differential was so good that us making you pay that money could have really set you back, you know? So it's a good point.
Yeah.
I think as well, I don't know. I wonder I don't know if Bologna is safer in HQ than on the board, perhaps. I don't know if that is.
I don't know. I think one advantage was we knew all the cards in HQ for quite a long period of time.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, actually, I did like the Bologna play. I think
oh, it's good.
because if you guys do score that, you've basically won the game right there. So I think that's a
was
good
actually
play.
that was my thought, is that if we can get this Bologna, then we're basically going to win because we can score a Beal out of hand with the remastered token.
Yeah.
And I felt like we just miscalculated a little bit, but we did definitely talk about boosting into the IP block traces a few times, and that's something that we should have thought harder about for sure.
I think that turn where we stole the Bologna, I think if you paid into the trace on the IP block, even if we go back and take it, it puts us at a sufficient enough deficit on our credit total, because we need to install Paperclip then, which is 4 credits, and then break the Actually, then it's even worse because we have the tag, so we can't break F2P.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, you could have scored the Bologna there if you paid into the trace on the IP block. You would have been able to score the Bologna there because we wouldn't have had enough to get through.
That's a good point.
Yeah, and then you guys can just fast advance out the Beal for the win.
That's true. All right, listen, I got to get out of here, so I'm going to end the recording right here and just do it the professional way and just say it was a blast and I had a great time, and y'all can continue on the conversation after I roll out. So good times, everybody, and I look forward to doing this again with y'all.
Yeah, thanks ever so much for organising.
Yeah, thanks, man.
Really great.
Yeah, I really appreciate it.
Brilliant.
Yeah, we'll keep improving it and making it what it needs to be to accomplish the goal of the group.
Absolutely.
Yep. Y'all take
Good
care.
game, well played.
Yep. Y'all as well.
Yes, great play.
Well played.
Yep. All right. Take care.
Have a good one.